Hello everyone, in this video we are going to set up the physics doors from Amnesia. So you'll be able to place these in your world and grab hold of the door and pull it open. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do, I'm doing this in a blank project and I'm using Unreal Engine 5.5. Should work in 5.5, 4, 4.2, 7, all that goodness. First thing I'm going to do in the first person character is create a trace. So we can do a line trace. So I'm going to do that here in a function. So in here, we're going to grab the first person camera. We're going to get world location and get forward vector. Multiply the vector, the forward vector by a float. This will be how far you want the trace to go, so 300. We're going to plus these two together and then do line trace by channel. Look at that. So the start will be world location, the end will be this. Draw debug, one frame, just so we can see. Promote the out hit to a variable because we will use it later, and then do a return, and we can stick that node in there as well. So then on the event graph, you can plug the function in on event tick. And then if we try it, so now we have a line trace from the camera. Next, we're going to create a folder. We'll call this physics doors. Now in here, we need a blueprint interface. Call this BP door. And then in here, we need a couple of things. We need two functions, grab object and release object, like this. We don't need any inputs on these. That is fine enough. Next is to create the door blueprint. So we right click a blueprint class, actor, BP underscore door. In here, go to class settings, add an implemented interface and search BPI underscore door. Now we have access to these. We're going to add two static meshes. We can just duplicate. We call the top one door frame and the bottom one door. Now, Unreal Engine, if you use the starter content, comes with both of these. So what we can do is door frame, we can just search frame. If it didn't come in like this, you can click add, and then you can add feature or content pack and content, and you can add the starter content, just like this. Normally it comes in, I must have misclicked the button. Now we have it, we can search door frame, and we can search door, like this. Now, the door is going to be off, so you can move this to 45, like that. And they don't come with any collision. So to fix that, you can click on them, come to static mesh, browse, open them up. It's gone to the background, there we go. I just click collision, add box simplified. So that's for that one. And then let's do the door as well. So there's the door. Collision and box collision, like so. The next thing is we need to drag this door into the world and come up here to selection mode. This is in 5.5. If you don't see modeling here, you can go into your plugins and search for modeling tools and turn this on. This one, modeling tools editor mode. If you don't have that, you will need to export this or create a new door and change the pivot point in Blender or something. But to do it in here, go to modeling, click Xform and edit pivot. And we basically want the pivot. We can grab the point. We want it in the middle of the door like this, or where the hinge would be in your door. So for me, I'm just going to do this and then accept and save. And now the door has moved again. So we just slide it back up and we are ready. So we can parent the door to the door frame by just dragging it like this. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to add the door here. You need to click on just the door and turn simulate physics on, and the mass, set the mass to around 150. And then the angular dampening change to 4. Now to stop this moving around any way it shouldn't, you can lock the position, and the rotation we can lock everything but the z-axis, which is it rotating. So now we have that. We can add a physics constraint, and this will make it so that the door won't, the physics can't go past a certain spot. So you can see on this little ball here, it shows what the physics can actually do. So it can rotate in every way basically at the moment. You want to put this roughly where your pivot is. So I'm going to put mine here, like here we should do. And we're going to change some things on this. So first thing is you will see the component name here, component name 1. This will be the name of your door frame. So if I type door frame, you see it's now in red. Component name 2 is door. So now these two are constrained together. The next thing we need to do is we go to constraint behavior here, and we want to disable the collision. So these two won't collide with each other while doing the physics. The projection angular tolerance, this is how far you want the door to open. For me, 45. So I only want the door to open one way. You can set that to 90 and it will open both in and out, but I just want a one-way door. So then, if we scroll down, we have all these should be locked, and now we want the motion. So we want swing motion 2 and twist locked, and we want swing motion 1 to be limited to 45 here. The angular rotation offset we want to be minus 45. So if we look on this now, this is how far the door will open. So it will come from here and we can rotate it this far. But if you had this at 0, this is how far the door could open. Now we've got these set ones up. Let me just check, is there any more? So the next thing is we want to scroll down a bit to the swing limits. We want the dampening and the stiffness, that should be right, 50 and 50. And then we can, that should be everything for the door. So in the door now, we can set up the logic. So we need to bring these two in, and we'll do the grab door first. So when we grab the door, we're going to get player character. We're going to get the character movement component. And then we are going to disable movement, because when we're opening the door, we want to stand still. We don't want to be moving around and things like that. The next part is we're going to get player controller, and I'm actually going to set ignore look input. And what this will do is it will stop you using your camera while you're interacting with the door. So this avoids the thing that you might have seen in other videos where when you try to swing the door open, your camera actually moves as well, which we don't want. We want to stay still. The next part is enable input. Now with this one, make sure you remove the target. We don't want the player to have its input enabled. We want the door itself to be able to interact and do things. Right. So let's then do the release the object. So for this, it's get player character, get character movement, and it's going to be basically the same, just reverse. We can't do enable movement, but what we can is set movement mode, like so. And we can set that to walking. Then we get player controller, and we can do reset ignore look input. So now we are basically resetting the ignore. We're going to be using the camera again. And the final is disable input. And once again, unclick by holding Alt and plug the play controller in there. So now we have the logic for the grabbing the door and releasing the door. We need to implement this on the player, of course. So if you are using Unreal Engine 4.7, you can just do left mouse button like this. If you're using I think it's Engine 5.1 and above, we can just create a new input action. So we can do input action, and we can copy shoot. We can do IA underscore interact as an example, and open it up, and we want it to have two elements. We want it to have pressed, and we want released, like this. Then we go to the input mapping context. So I'm using default. I add, I'm going to call it IA underscore interact, and I'm going to put mine on left mouse button, like so. So first person character, we can call that IA interact, like so. And then on this, what we're going to do now is we are going to, from started, we're going to do a branch. And we're going to do we're going to grab the out hit. We're going to break the out hit. And we are going to say if it's blocking. Oh, no, sorry. If the hit actor is valid, and we want the top one. From this, we want and. If it's valid, and does implement interface, and then we call BPI underscore door. So if it's a valid interactable and it also has the interface on it, then we can plug that into here and just pop this back. And if it's true, what we can do is we can promote the hit actor by right-clicking on hit actor and do promote to variable, like so. We're going to change the object type from actor to object, and it's going to be an object reference, and we can just click change variable and compile. On this, we're going to rename that to grabbed actor. And on grabbed actor, we can call grab object, the message like this. Okay. So now on released, I just need to check this one sec if it's completed or is it... Yeah, it's completed. Okay. On completed, we are going to grab the grabbed actor. We're going to do another is valid, but we're going to do the question mark one. Pop that in. If it is valid, we're going to release object. And then we are going to set the grabbed actor to nothing. We're going to clear the reference or clear the variable. So now this is a bit of a spaghetti, but I forgot to turn the plugin I normally use on, but it's fine. So this is all the logic for the mouse. Now the final part is back in the door. And what we do now is we're going to set up the actual moving the door. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a custom event called move door. And we're going to add an input of a float. And we're going to call that the amount. This is the amount we're going to move the door by. From the amount, we're going to pull out and say multiply. The bottom node is going to go into a select node. The index here, we're going to do the logic over here and get to here. We're going to grab self in reference to the self in reference to the door. The get actor location and get actor forward vector. And then we are going to minus the actor location. And the bottom part here is going to go into a get player character. This is going to go into get actor location. And that is going to hook back up here. And we're going to, from this node, put that into normalize. Like so. And normalize into a dot product. The bottom node here will be the forward vector. And we plug that into a branch. Greater or equal to 0. This is basically checking which way the player is grabbing the door. So instead of, say you're on one side of the door, if we didn't do this, we would have an inverted mouse. So left would open the door one way. We went around the other side of the door. Right would then open it, but we don't want that. We want the same way each time. That can go into here. And the false is -1 and the true is 1. So from here, what we are going to do now is we are going to grab the door and we're going to get the relative rotation like so. Put that into a combine rotators like this. So from this multiply here, we're going to make rotator and we're going to only rotate on the yaw. And we're going to hook these two combined rotators up here. And then that will go into a set relative rotation on the door. So we can hook that up like that. And then hook that up like that. Just one bit left to go, which is, for me, I'm using Unreal Engine 5.5. So what I can do is I can use the pre-set up look, which has this action value that you can split to see the X and the Y. I'm not sure how you do it in 4.7. I think 4.7 might have its own. in the first person tutorial that lets you get these values. What we do then is when this is triggered, we're going to grab the X and we're going to multiply. We're going to set this bottom one as a variable, and it will be the open amount. And I'm going to put a comment here. Lower value equals harder to open, 0 to 1. So what I will show with this is I'll do it on 1 by default, and then I'll show it lowered. So the next thing is we want to call the event move door. So triggered move door, and put the amount in here. So let's try this now. So if we play, I go to my door. I've not put my door in the world. This is a fake door. Remember, always actually put your actors you're using in the world. I'm just going to save, and we are going to grab the door. There we go. And now if I press play, so if I left click and move my mouse, I open the door. So there's a bit of a fight with it going on. Let's see why that is. So the issue I had is the physics constraint is actually in the wrong location. It should be at 45. It was overlapping with the door. So if we go now and I try it, I hold left mouse and I put my mouse to the right and the door opens, left and it closes, but it can't come any further. If I go around the back and I grab and I move my mouse to the left to open it, then it opens. If I use it to the right, if I don't do that and I just do this, if I just do this instead, if I grab it and use right to open and left and then come around the back, it's now right to open towards me when I would rather have left, like I'm pulling it towards me instead of away. So if you want it that way, you can just remove this bit. If you don't, you can do that. Now you have like a Amnesia Inspired door that will only open in one direction. And your mouse doesn't move, you can't move, but you can do something like this. Go around the back just to, you go. So I hope this has been useful. I will post the project files for this on my Patreon, where you can just download them. If you want to support me, I have a Buy Me a Coffee and I also have a Patreon. And I will see you in the next video.